Hello gamers, today I'm going to be updating you on my attempt to learn WoW PvP. It's been a little bit over a month since the last time we talked, and Season 4 is just around the corner, or it may have already arrived depending on when this video gets posted. Before I talk about what I have been doing the past month or so, I want to talk about my WoW experience before I started trying to learn PvP this last year. In my last video, I typed out my experience in the description, but I had a lot of questions about it and stuff, so I figured I'd just talk about it now. My first attempt at playing WoW, my first endeavor, was in Mist of Pandaria, so that was 10 years ago. I played a hunter named Hotbow. I had literally no idea what I was doing. This was also my first ever RPG style game, so I had no idea what all the different stats and stuff meant. And for a long time, I picked armor based only on the armor stat. It wasn't until I got into a dungeon and did that and got called a noob and people laughed at me. And then I realized maybe I'm doing this wrong and did a little bit of research. So yeah, I leveled Hotbow all the way to max level, and I had a really great time doing it. I really took my time while leveling. I did questing, I caught some pets, I even caught like a spirit bear, I did dungeons, and I even did some battlegrounds. But for a variety of reasons, when I hit max level, I quit the game pretty much instantly. I felt overwhelmed at the time, in-game and out of game. In-game, I felt like I needed to kind of pick between PvP and PvE, which I had been doing both while leveling. And honestly, I wasn't really sure how to progress in either direction, and I just dropped off. And then also in my personal life, I was trying to earn a scholarship, and things were getting really busy, so I canceled my sub at that point. But I always kind of looked back fondly on that experience and wanted to do it again. So when Classic WoW was announced, I took another dive into it. I played a Shadow Priest and a Warrior. I did not hit max level on either of them. I did learn a lot more about the mechanical aspects of the game this time around. I learned more about movement and how to kite mobs. I used a swing timer. So I did learn a lot more about the mechanics and stuff at this time. But I got really tired of the walking simulator that is Classic WoW, and so I quit that too. It's also important, I guess, I mentioned that I did buy BFA, and I used a boost on a warrior, but this one was a laughable amount of time. I didn't even hit max level in BFA. I barely played it at all. But that's all the experiences I've had playing WoW. So I don't know if you could technically qualify me as a WoW noob, but I am definitely a noob when it comes to PvP in arenas. They have been an entirely new experience for me. I had never done arenas in particular on any of my characters, and realistically, PvP in general was not something I had any real understanding of. Even when I played Battlegrounds on my hunter, I didn't really know what I was doing. I mostly just spammed random buttons on my keyboard while backpedaling and waiting for kill command to come off cooldown. But as it turns out, that's pretty much the Beastmaster's whole rotation. So I guess I was doing better than I thought because, yeah, Beastmaster. Anyway, I've had a lot to learn when it comes to trying to play arenas, like an overwhelming amount of things to learn. But we will talk more about that stuff in a minute. For now, I want to catch up on what's been going on since my last video over a month ago. Here is my current gear. Even though it's all purples, turns out it's not technically best in slot. I didn't craft anything, and I didn't enchant everything. For some reason, both crafting and enchanting seemed kind of like annoying and overwhelming to me at first. I just kind of wanted to jam games of Arena. And then once I decided I was ready to do it, Blizzard had already announced the next season. So I figured at this point I'm just going to save my gold and wait for next season. Can't really explain why I did that. I probably should have crafted and enchanted, but I should definitely be fine in Conquest gear. My gear is definitely not what's holding me back. Since we last talked, I have been grinding the hell out of PvP. I started doing my weeklies and playing a little bit of everything just to gain conquest. For arena, at the beginning I mostly played solo shuffle. Solo shuffle went way better than I thought it would at the beginning. I was climbing pretty fast, and gearing in general can be a little bit weird when you're first starting out, because not only am I playing against people who have been playing the game longer than me, but I'm also playing against people who have better gear than me. So they have a stat advantage and just like a advantage because they're probably better than I am. It makes it feel very overwhelming when you're first starting out. But I will admit that the satisfaction that comes with gearing up is very high. So maybe it's worth it, I guess. Not really sure. But during my grind for gear, I found a couple people from my guild who agreed to play rated 2s with me. They were both much higher ranks than me, and so we really did not win very much at all. I want to say we probably won like 1 out of every 8 games, if that many. It was really rough, but they were really patient with me, and it did help me gear up. During this time, I also sent my previous video to some of my IRL friends, and I found out 2 of them have actually been playing WoW off and on for a very, very long time. So we decided to hop into this journey together. Neither of them had really spent a lot of time dedicated to like grinding arenas and learning arenas, so it was a learning experience for all of us. And funny enough, lucky me, we actually had to roll to see which one of them was going to get to be the healer when we play 3v3s. I know I'm blessed like that. We ended up with myself on Arms Warrior. One of my friends was playing Ret Paladin, and one of my friends is playing Resto Druid. So now, instead of playing solo shuffle, I mostly play with them. I pretty much stopped playing solo shuffle altogether, honestly. Now that I've gotten used to playing with friends in the Discord comms, solo shuffle is fine, but it's not nearly as fun as playing with my friends in Discord. The satisfaction that comes with setting up CC for kill windows and communicating CC chains and helping each other out, it's way more fun. But to be fair, I think all video games are more fun with friends. I don't necessarily think that's a reflection on solo shuffle itself. We have played quite a few 3v3s. I think 3v3 is probably my favorite bracket, even though it is my absolute worst bracket as far as win percentage. I think that I like the idea of there being an extra player because it creates more variables, which creates more potential to outplay somebody or more mistakes. I also just, honestly, being melee, I like that there's another target I can whack when I'm rotating around the map. So that's kind of why I like 3v3s the most, even though clearly I'm terrible at it. That being said, my most played bracket is 2v2. It has been me and the Resto Druid really pushing in 2v2. And we really, our goal for me, or my goal was to hit 1800 in 2v2. And we've come ridiculously close. We hit 1775, and then my friend DC'd in a game. So that was pretty heartbreaking. I'll probably get like one more push before the new season, and hopefully we can hit it then. But truthfully, I know that there's a lot I can be doing to improve on. I've been watching my games back, and every time I watch my games back, I've learned so much about this game, but every game I watch back, it's kind of painful to see how many mistakes I make. And I'm sure you guys watching this B-roll of my gameplay can relate to that. So sorry for that, but it's getting better and I'm really enjoying it. I wanted to share some of my observations from this season now. The first thing I want to say is I truly believe without having someone there to teach you this game, it is pretty nearly impossible to learn, or at the very least it's incredibly hard. There are just so many things that the game doesn't tell you. For example, we didn't know that Resto Druids can shapeshift to avoid polymorph. Very helpful thing to know. Another thing is it's hard to understand how spells will work in PvP sometimes. For example, did you know that demon hunters can use Vengeful Retreat to get rid of disarm? Yeah, it says snare, and disarm is not a snare. So maybe that's a glitch or something. But the point is, there are a lot of little things that make it difficult to know what's going on without someone there to guide you. And for this reason, we bought a skill cap subscription. And honestly, without the skill cap subscription, I'm not sure I would even be able to identify most of my mistakes. I still make a ton of mistakes, but at least now when I watch the film back, I'm able to have a better understanding of what I did wrong in that game. Next thing I want to bring up is add-ons. Of course, you guys probably know I couldn't make it through this video without talking about add-ons. I have finally come to accept that creating macros and adjusting your UI is going to be somewhat of a constant battle as I play this game. I have finally landed on a UI I really like. You'll probably see multiple UIs throughout this video. But the UI I'm using now, I really like it. I know where everything's at. I know what everything is tracking. And now that I've gotten used to it, I understand the hesitancy that people have about getting rid of add-ons. I mean, like, how am I supposed to know a mage has cast Altered Time without an add-on there to tell me? There's just so many little things like that that would be impossible to track. I also find details super handy when we're talking after a game trying to figure out what went wrong. It's super helpful to go and see, oh, well, you didn't use nearly enough CC or, stuff like that. So I understand that there's all these advantages to having the add-ons, but for the amount of time it takes to configure them and even understand what you're looking at, even though they bring advantages, I still believe that if we want new players to come into this game, this is an easy change in PvP. Just ban the add-ons, make a few small adjustments. I mean, we're seeing top-level players. Aeghis, I think I'm probably saying his name wrong, but one of the best mages in the world, he just hit, I think it was 2,400 in a video with no UI, no add-ons. So it's still very doable, and the best players in the world are doing it. So I'll link that video below. But the point remains that it's such a headache setting all these things up that if we're wanting new players to come to the game, we should get rid of them. The last observation I want to mention today has to do with the community that makes up World of Warcraft. Unfortunately, WoW has a reputation of being rather toxic, and while I don't think that is wrong, I also don't think it captures the entire picture. I mean, I have found 4 players who have way more experience than myself that were all willing to help me in this incredibly difficult game and try to help me learn it. I have seen so many people with zero selfish intent be incredibly helpful to each other, and there are so many instances like that. I mean, just think about me in this story today. I queued with 2 different people on separate occasions who realistically were sitting there and just watching their ranks plummet, losing game after game, just to help me gear up and maybe learn a little bit in the process. I mean, they were as patient with me as they could be. Basically, I guess I'm saying that the contrast is just totally wild. I mean, we have people absolutely roasting each other in solo shuffle and in mythic keys, and then people are also spending hours guiding new guildies around to help them find a mount or something. And I think that in some cases, these are the same people. So maybe try to remember that idiotic warrior who keeps LOSing your hills and dying is just a person like the guildie you would be willing to help. All that being said, though, I personally have not encountered very much toxicity, even when I was playing solo shuffle. I mean, yeah, you get like the occasional negative comment here and there, but it might actually be better than my experiences solo queuing other competitive games. I mean, solo queue a game of Valorant or Rainbow Six Siege or something right now, and if you are doing terribly, you have 1 kill and 9 deaths and your team is losing, tell me how they respond. I don't think WoW is any worse than these other games, but what I do see more often with WoW is overwhelming negativity demonstrated on Reddit and in the forums. Here's where I see more comments that just seem outright rude for no reason, but I also just see a blanket of negative feelings towards the game that they spend hours playing. And I get it. WoW fans feel like they have been chipped, and regular PvP fans have it even worse. But this game is awesome, and we all know it's awesome. I think we get kind of blinded by how amazing it could be if Blizzard did the right things to fix it. But in some cases, it's better to focus on the positives, because if a new player is going to check out World of Warcraft before they pay a $15 monthly subscription, they're probably going to look it up and see what people are saying. If they're seeing all negative comments from sour players, they may never give it a chance. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is I'm trying to be an elementary school teacher and say respect each other when you're online and try to celebrate the things the game does well. It truly might shift your way of thinking about the game if you do that a little bit. There is also a lot to celebrate with this game, man. Like, there's just so much for me to like learn and improve on. It's been crazy addicting. I haven't really played any games like WoW's Arena PvP before. I love the feeling I get of learning something new or figuring out I've been doing something wrong and then fixing it. I learned recently that I should be reflecting chaos bolts. This was a few weeks ago, and then pretty much after I learned that, I reflected chaos bolt, and we absolutely deleted the warlock afterwards. And that feeling is just awesome. And there's just also so much other stuff to enjoy in this game I haven't even touched on. If I get burned out on Dragonflight PvP on my warrior, I can make an alt. I can try Kata PvP. I could even try Season of Discovery or Classic, or I could try to learn PvE. There's just so many options. So what's next for me is I'm going to probably have one, maybe two really good sessions to push for 1800. And then I also probably need to make some gold before Season 4 comes out, because as much as I love Arena, it doesn't seem to pay super well. So my plan is I'm probably going to make my first alt and level him up, and so I can get some gold as I go. And I'd also like to have another option for in case I like get tired of playing my warrior or something like that. It would be nice to have another option. And then once Season 4 comes back, I'll probably be back on the grind, and I will talk to y'all then. Thanks for watching, gamers, and remember to show somebody some love today. Peace.